Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. That's the only two I know. As mentioned, I'm Robert Villarreal. I'm a senior advisor. That's my title now. Senior advisor at Momentous Capital, and I'm also, as mentioned, the treasurer of the OFN Board of Directors, and I'm very pleased to be here to introduce our next speaker. Michael Regan was sworn in as a 16th administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency in 2021, becoming the first black man and the second person of color ever to lead the EPA. So let's remind Michael that applause is for him, not for that track record of EPA administrators, right? It's for him. Administrator Regan has centered his career around his belief that environmental justice and economic justice go hand in hand. To that end, Administrator Regan is leading efforts to drive substantial new resources toward addressing our environmental crisis. Under his leadership, the EPA has prioritized relationships with community-based organizations, like us, CDFIs, to ensure the resources reach the areas of greatest need, which is what we heard from Dr. Bullard yesterday. He has led the organization through one of the largest expansions with new resources to fight the climate crisis. In fact, I know many of you spent the last several months tirelessly working on an application for a certain $27 billion program that they just put out, and I think some of you are just barely waking up from sleeping for about 72 hours. We certainly appreciate his focus on working with community lenders through the implementation of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, and are thrilled that he is able to join us today to help grow that partnership. Please join me in welcoming Administrator Michael Regan to the stage.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Robert, for that wonderful introduction. I am humbled and grateful for the invitation to speak at the Opportunity Finance Network's 39th annual conference. Yes. It is such a pleasure to be with you all, and I'm grateful to the OFN for uniting such an incredible range of stakeholders: small business owners, investors, policymakers, researchers, students, and nonprofits. All have a unique and important role to play in helping EPA to build healthier and more resilient communities. And before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the remarkable work of everyone in this room today. Your commitment to providing life-changing resources to underserved communities has impacted countless lives across the country. Community development, financial institutions in particular, have been at the forefront of these efforts, providing much-needed loans, investments, and financial services to businesses and individuals who may not have access to traditional banking services. Your institutions are not just another financial service provider. They are community builders and champions of justice. You all understand that investing directly into communities that lack resources and opportunity is not just simply a financial transaction, but it is an investment in the future of these communities and the people who live there. At the same time, CDFIs are also lending in the emerging field of green finance. You all understand and recognize that protecting the health of our economy and protecting the health of people and the environment are not mutually exclusive, but in fact, they actually go hand in hand. And folks, I want to be clear, the Biden-Harris administration and this EPA share that conviction. Environmental justice, yes, thank you. Environmental justice is and always will be a top priority for the Biden-Harris administration and for me personally. For too long, a lack of access to capital in underserved communities across the country has hindered our progress on addressing the climate crisis and truly advancing environmental justice. President Biden came into office with a plan to fundamentally change that. He began his presidency with the bold vision that our economy could, in fact, grow and thrive from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. And since day one, our EPA has played a critical role in helping the president to deliver on that mission. And we are leaving no stone unturned. EPA normally is a $10 billion a year agency, but we've been tasked with deploying over $100 billion. That's billion with a B, right? $100 billion in resources from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act. And folks, at least 40 billion of those dollars are being invested directly in communities that have long borne the burden of pollution and environmental injustice. And thanks to President Biden's Justice 40 initiative, we are going to change that. I'm excited to say that this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for many of us to fix our nation's most long-standing and pervasive environmental and public health concerns. And we are committed to getting it right. And one of the most innovative components of this historic Inflation Reduction Act is the creation of something that I know you are all familiar with, the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. It's a really, really good reason to lose sleep, folks. You know, this fund is a $27 billion competitive grant program designed to bring hundreds of billions of dollars of private capital off the sidelines to address the climate crisis head on, reinforce our country's economic competitiveness, and directly invest in communities that have been marginalized for decades. Through the program, EPA is spurring the creation of a first-of-its-kind national financing network to scale the deployment of clean technology nationally, building community clean financing capacity locally, and facilitating the adoption of clean solar energy to lower energy bills for millions of Americans. The Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund is a transformative program that creates an unprecedented opportunity for investment and for collaboration. It's an opportunity for private partners like community lenders to work alongside the federal government to deliver transformative resources to communities who are most in need. This fund was designed to have as wide-ranging a reach as possible, and we know that collaboration is the key to achieving that goal. Simply put, the government can't do it alone. We need partners. Community lenders, including CDFIs, have the opportunity to help finance a just, clean energy transition through the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund while addressing long-standing economic and environmental injustice. So we'll be leaning on the private sector to build and join in partnership, support project pipelines, and facilitate coordination to realize the transformative vision of this historic program. And folks, you all know as well as I know, the time is now. We are at a unique moment in history. Addressing the climate crisis is certainly a massive undertaking. But the president always says this correctly. It is also an opportunity, unlike ever before, for us to work together to achieve a healthier and more equitable world. Now, I know we have an ambitious agenda to achieve, and by joining forces in partnership, the government and the private sector can maximize our collective impact to ensure that all people, regardless of the color of their skin or the community that they live in, have clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, while building on a globally competitive and durable economy. I couldn't be more optimistic about the future of our communities, the future of our environment, and the future of America under the leadership of President Joe Biden. So thanks again, everyone, for having me, and I hope you have a great conference. Thank you.